Hi there! So on today's episode of Miss Rachel's Traveling Fair, we're going to be making a vegan chicken noodle soup. Instead of chicken, we're going to be using tofu, and we're going to be using egg noodles and vegetable broth, and of course carrots. So the first thing we want to do is take about 2 cups of water and add them to a sauce pot. And we're going to put the flame on high and add a handful of carrots. We're going to let that simmer for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to add organic vegetable broth. So let's just go ahead and do this. Now the nice thing about chicken noodle soup, vegetarian chicken noodle soup, is that it's really good for you. So you have the heart benefits of soy, and you have, of course, the benefits of drinking vegetable broth. It's really good for your body, and particularly low in salt. So we're going to add a little bit of that. In with our carrots and water, and we're going to let that boil for a little bit. And then we're going to add our noodles and spill them all over the countertop. So you're going to need a big spoon. Just mix this up. And while that's cooking, you can get on chopping up your tofu. You want your tofu to be in pieces about this big. And you're going to put them in last, because if you let them cook for too long, they get kind of mushy and gross. And the last thing that we're going to add before our water starts to boil is a little bit of salt, probably about 2 teaspoons, and about the same amount of pepper. Give that a good mix. And there it is. Hi there. So today on Miss Rachel's Traveling Fair, we're going to be making vegan chicken noodle soup. So to improve upon the original chicken noodle soup that everyone can remember from their grandmother and their mother, we're just needing to make a soup that kind of conveys that same sense of comfort, but without the chicken, and a little bit heart healthier. So what we're going to need is we're going to have to take a few cups of water and just pour them into a pot. And we're going to start off this water with a little bit of carrots in it to give it a really nice carroty flavor. So let's go ahead and add a handful of carrots already chopped up. Put them into our pot and just let that simmer for a minute. And this will just give the noodles that we're going to be cooking in the water just a really great carroty, kind of earthy flavor, and it really adds to the soup. So let's go ahead and add, I like to use the bow tie noodles. So we're going to go ahead and just pour about half a bag into our water. I'm just going to let that cook for a little while. So the next couple steps are really simple. We're going to add our vegetable stock. We're going to wait for the noodles to boil a little bit. We're going to add the rest of our carrots. We're going to season with salt and pepper. And then the last thing we're going to add is actually our tofu, which will be acting as the chicken. Now the really nice thing about tofu is that it takes on basically any flavor you put with it. So, especially if you freeze the tofu to give it a nice kind of spongy texture, it can mimic chicken and make a really great vegan chicken noodle soup. So let's go ahead and add our vegetable broth. Okay. Now I like to use ready-made vegetable broth, because even though we're adding the carrots for extra flavor, the vegetable broth has so many flavors in it and cuts the cooking time down to, I'm going to say, like 20 minutes. So that's really great. Let's see. It already has carrot, celery, onion, and sea salt in it, but I like the Whole Foods brand. It doesn't have too much salt in it, so we could go ahead and add our own if we'd like to at the end. So So let's continue pouring. Just want to make sure you have enough liquid to cover all of the noodles. That's really important because you don't want them to get dry or not cook very well. So once you add your broth, you're going to give it a good mix. And the cool thing about chicken noodle soup is that most people think of it as a wintertime food, but in the summer it's so good for you and it's so light, and if you eat it before a meal, you'll fill up on broth and not eat as much, so it's a nice trick. Let's go ahead and add the rest of our carrots so that we have a really nice, pretty orange soup. Alright. Now we're going to add a little bit of pepper. I would say about 2 teaspoons, but shake, shake, shake. Put in as much as you like. I don't like that much pepper, but I know a lot of people do. So then we're going to take our salt and just freely add a tiny bit. Salty noodle soup, it's just, nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. Grandma did not make salty noodle soup. So let's give that a good mix. Okay. The cool thing about tofu, aside from being completely versatile, has really cool roots in Philadelphia. Ben Franklin, you know, he was kind of a Renaissance man and did a little bit of everything, but he actually liked to dabble in making things out of soybeans. So he made soy cheese, he made tofu, he was really good at kind of using his hands and making anything, and I bet he made delicious tofu. So we're in Philadelphia. Makes sense to use tofu. Let's put some into our soup now. I like to cube the tofu, but if you have bigger pieces, that's fine. Go ahead and put them in there. And just give it a good mix. And something I think too is very important is to taste your soup. If you think it's too salty, add a little more broth. If you think there's not enough salt, add a little more salt. So pretty much that's the simplest thing we can make. We've made a delicious vegan vegetable soup. It's going to boil for a little bit longer, but we'll taste it soon. And it's got vegetable broth, water, salt, pepper, noodles, carrots, and tofu. And that's it. It's very simple, very easy, delicious to eat year-round, and definitely gives you that comfort feeling deep down in your belly. So thanks for watching.